looks like that was broke for a while. See where the rust is at right there?
So we have the old trusty 555 out. I switched over from the 24-inch to the 30-inch bucket the other day. If you haven't discovered it yet, I do have a little spin-off channel called Kleeman where we're doing just kind of some behind-the-scenes stuff, shorter videos that wouldn't normally make it onto the main channel, Captain Kleeman, mainly because people are asking questions, and the easiest way to answer questions is with videos. So feel free to hop over and check it out. We switched the bucket over on that channel, but here's what we're getting into today. So we are obviously down here at the pond, looking great, by the way. You can tell that there's a stump. How neat. We're going to try to get in here and clean this whole mess up. Now, it's kind of difficult to tell, and as we get into it, you'll be able to tell a little bit more clearly, and later on I'll get the drone up so we can get a better shot. But if you look real close in here, you're going to see how there's kind of an opening. There's a big clearing right here. Now, we bought this property, I'll be flat out honest with you, we couldn't afford the property we bought at the time. So we made a deal with the developer that made it easier for him and saved us a little bit of money. The deal was everything you clear off of the other lots, dump it on our property and we'll deal with it, and then you can get those sold and we'll take care of the mess. So that's what he did, and it worked out really well. And the last little bit of mess we have is in there. Now you can tell it's been there for a while by the fact that there's some trees in here. Now there's a lot of options of what we can do with this, and there's several things we want to do with it, but it kind of depends what we find when we get in there. So this is like an exploratory mission. We'll talk about the different options. We'll talk about the different things we want to do with this. But step one is see what we actually got to work with. Run her up into one, maybe hoop, hoop. Oh, let her roll a little bit. Take some pressure off that transmission. There we go. Back her up a little bit. Kind of tricky doing one-handed, but here we go. Oh, I don't know. Maybe about there. That'll work. Lock it down. Definitely a lot of clay up here, which is good. I'm not against that. Gotta grab my tripod here for the camera. You think one day I'd just spend the 20 bucks on a tripod, you know what? Slowly starting to push our way in there. I'm kind of benching out with the hoe on the back and using the bucket to dress it up on the way in, and then we're just shoving everything downhill for the time being. I like to leave that bucket full when I'm pushing stuff off because it adds extra weight to the downforce so I can push stuff off without bouncing around. These trees aren't too crazy big. They haven't been here too crazy long. I'm hoping I can just push them over, pull the root wad, swing them down out of the way where I can grab them with the 755 and pull them out. These tree of heaven, which is an invasive species, they snap, they break real easy. Very fragile wood. Our native hardwoods, like I believe that's a type of hickory, not sure, but that other oak that came down, they're pretty flexible. They're gonna bend for us. There's a poplar there. That dead one probably won't bend very well. But you can see what we're starting to get into. This is what all this is. We're standing on top of it now, and it's had probably 6 or 7 years to rot down, but it's nothing but dead trees. Probably about 6 feet tall. I went ahead and snagged the 755. There's no reason as I'm digging this stuff up and shoving it over, I can't just take the forks and carry it over here to the burn pile. The problem is the burn pile is kind of pushed out. So let's shove that in with the 555 real quick. It's always a pain pushing piles like that, especially when you don't have the grill on it. Make sure we didn't put any holes in the radiator or the oil cooler. No, we look okay. We got some leaves in here though, don't we? If you got big property and everybody's working on it, cheap walkie-talkies. That's the easiest way to stay in communication, especially if you don't have good cell phone service where you're at. pile's rotting down so much over the years. Look at this stuff. That's like primo dirt right there, man. I need to be stockpiling this stuff somewhere. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm on top of the pile of debris. These little holes where my steer tires are dipping in, those are spots that are opening between the logs, which is kind of not a great spot to be in. Good way to get something caught in there and break it off. I'm gonna take the 755, pull some more of this stuff out, get it cleaned out. Tree, and then take the hoe and start kind of pulling that stuff up. So here we are before picking everything out. X marks the spot. These transition shots would work a lot cooler if I could remember where the heck I put the X. Well, anyway, that's what it looks like now. Kind of working our way across. Let's go ahead and tree removal. I'm gonna go out on a limb, this one right here, and assume that that poplar is not gonna give us that much trouble. It is the following morning, sun's coming up, about 6:30. It's a beautiful morning. You can see where we're sitting there, of course. And you can see the machine sitting right there. The goal is to come out right about here, and that'll allow me to work both sides from that path we're making. Let's talk just a little bit about what the goal here is. Obviously you can see the pond. Now where we live, everything is hills. This isn't like northern Indiana where it's flat and you can see 27 miles when you look out your porch. It is all hills here in southern Indiana, and this pond is beautiful, but it's tucked into the side of this hillside.
Which, no complaints. Whenever we built the thing, I built the dam fairly wide, knowing that that would be the side that we do most of our fishing and activities off of. And then we've got a little bit of a flat spot there that we cut in actually not too long ago. But being as everything is hills here, it's just cut and fill. You're constantly cutting from one part of your property and filling in another part to build it up and try to kind of level everything out. Now, I got a part of the property that we've been wanting to build up ever since we've owned this place, ever since about 6 years. We've got a section that I've been wanting to fill for a long time, and it's going to take a tremendous amount of dirt, but I've never really had a good spot on the property to take from until we've had the pond. Now, this corner, this side of the hill, is the perfect opportunity to dig some material out and fill that in. Those two maples would go, that maple would go. I'd like to keep these two hickories. It's hard to tell because it's hard to pick up elevation on these action cameras, but from there to about that maple is about 10 foot of elevation gain. We'd come in probably about halfway and dig this whole corner out and break out on that side. From that hickory right here, just to the road, is about 4 foot of elevation gain. It's hard to pick up on camera, but we'd break up right around through there. And that would give us a tremendous amount of material to do that fill job that I want to do. But the whole reason we got to do this exploration path first is I got to figure out, can we even make that big of a cut, or are we going to run into solid rock? A lot of times on these hills, there's rock shelves. You'll have a rock shelf, it'll jump up, come over, jump up, come over. And then the hill is made up of all the broken up shelves over the years that have eroded and filled these little inside corners in. So although it looks like a nice gentle sloping hill, there's rock shelves tucked in here somewhere. And I got to figure out, can I actually make a deep enough cut to use this as the borrow pit to fill that in? Or option 2 is just get all this mess and this stuff trucked out of here, out of the way, and just kind of clean this hillside up so we can better maintain around the pond. Just in case you didn't pick up on the time lapse, we're now down to the clay in this section of cut below the forest floor. And now I'm just taking all that topsoil and all that rotten stuff and throwing it over to that side. That's going to get trucked out and stockpiled on the property. Fluids, everything looked good. Added a little bit of power steering fluid. One of my cylinders is seeping just a little bit. This thing needs a bath pretty bad. And I need to see if I can get this bucket pin beat back in real quick. I think, in all honesty, I broke one of the keepers when I took the pins out and swapped buckets. I think I forgot to put one back in. One-handed? Sure. Sure. Oh, we gotta do a little wiggling here, bud.
Somebody on the spin-off channel said, don't hit the pins with a steel hammer, you'll mushroom out the pins.
We're past that. I mean, read the room. You know? Also, I've never seen anybody use anything other than a steel hammer.
Anyway, I got this piece of cattle panel. I'd say we can bend that to something.
All right.
I think I'm getting ready to break in two here. I need to check a bolt. Let's see. This spins. Is the bolt spinning? Or is it just... Oh, it feels like it wants to tighten up. See how much thread we got on that one coming out? That one still looks good. The question is the bolt broken or is it just loosening up on me?
Looky here.
Looks like that was broke for a while. See where the rust is at right there? This is a fresh break. That's a clean break. Like, see where the rust is at? That means that crack's been there for a while. So that bolt is definitely broken off that bracket. Those bottom two are still on there.
I'm gonna pull up here on a little bit better ground. Then we can crawl up underneath and see what we got.
So that one's not broke. There's the head of the bolt there. There's the nut. I'm gonna go get some of my 3/4 stuff and some wrenches, see if I can't snug that one up. And I'm thinking I might actually have an extra bolt for that tab over there. Mike, you gonna check anything else? See if anything else is broken while we're down here? No, we're not doing that. We'll fix it when it breaks.
Not a huge surprise, but I don't have a bolt that big. I do have this one though, and we'll put that in there for now. It's definitely not as big, but that little bit held on for quite a while. So I'm thinking that'll get us by for a couple days, and I'll pick up a couple big ones. We'll replace that one, and then we'll have a spare. Next time it breaks, we'll be ready to go.
And I'm hoping it's long enough. Oh dear.
Well, we'll see if we can get that one underneath snugged up. Got my 3/4 extensions. 1 7/16 is what we're looking at. Yeah, she's tightening. That's good. The problem with extensions, when you put a pipe on it, pulls it down. I need to hold that up so I can get some more pressure on it.
It's going to take more than I weigh to get that where it needs to be.
I'd say that's better than what it was. I found one long enough to work. I just had to play a nice game of washers. I think that'll get us by for a couple days until we can pick up the correct bolts. We'll find out soon enough though. Really starting to get worked back in here pretty well. Starting to get into some of the bigger logs that are all buried back here. When we first got it, this pile went all the way through where the pond was. And we've been slowly cleaning this up over the years. And this is like the last little bit of it. And there's quite a few of those bigger logs all buried down in there. Of course, all taken over by blackberries now. They take over anything once they get a little bit of sunlight. So I've just been digging the dirt out, swinging it over there, and then pulling the logs out to where I can take them with the tractor. We're all the way through now. Looks pretty good. Whenever we cut this out, we'll probably only cut a few feet on this side, so I'm not too terribly concerned about that side. But I do want to dig a big old hole up here, or at least get down a little bit and make sure there's not a rock shelf right here where we want to go. And that'll tell us what direction we're going to go with this project. So we got a couple feet of red clay, and then it gets into this material, which this material doesn't pack the best. Once you break it up, it's pretty easy digging, but it doesn't pack very well. We'll have to mix it with the clay whenever we take it where we're taking it. But I think that's deep enough down, that carried out. I was worried there's gonna be a big limestone shelf just like 1 foot underneath, but I think we're okay. And even underneath this material, typically around here, is a layer of like a 3-foot layer of rock, but it's all broken up and it comes up real easy. So I'm happy seeing this. This should do what I need to do, and that shows me enough that I'm okay with going ahead and proceeding to phase 2 of this project, which will be clearing some trees and maybe going ahead and getting rid of some of this topsoil and getting things set up. Maybe throwing away a deflated pizza float